and what happens when that delicate balance gets thrown off. We're going to explore this fascinating invisible battle that's going on inside us and all around us all the time. Okay, let's just dive right in. Imagine this. You've got a fever, you feel awful, so you go to the doctor, and they tell you the problem is you have an imbalance of black bile. I know, it sounds absolutely wild to us now, but for thousands of years, this wasn't some crazy guess. It was the leading medical theory. It was all part of something called the theory of humors. The idea was pretty straightforward. Your health was all about keeping these four special fluids in perfect harmony. If you had too much of one or too little of another, you'd get sick. Now, it was a huge step forward for its time, but, thanks to science, we now know the real picture is just way, way more complex. So if good health isn't about balancing our humors, then what is it? We've come a long way from just thinking of health as, well, not being sick. Today's view is much bigger, much more complete. And this is the definition we use now. It's so important. Health isn't just a neutral thing. It's this active state of total well-being. That means your mind, your relationships with people, your social life, all of that is just as vital to your health as your physical body. It's a difference between just getting by and actually thriving. And there are so many things that play into this. Some are internal, right? Like the genes you're born with. Or this incredible complicated dance between your brain, your hormones, and your immune system. And then there are the external things, like infections we might catch. And of course, the big one, the lifestyle choices we make every single day. To really appreciate health, you've kind of got to understand its opposite, disease. Simply put, a disease is just anything that messes with how our body is supposed to work. And diseases tend to fall into two main categories. So on one hand, you have congenital diseases. These are the ones you're born with, passed down through your genes. But on the other side, you've got acquired diseases. These are the ones we pick up along the way. Everything from something as simple as the common cold to conditions related to how we live, like diabetes. So let's zoom in on a specific kind of acquired disease, the infectious ones, because these are the ones caused by tiny, microscopic invaders that can have a huge impact on our lives. We call these invaders pathogens. Think of them as microscopic parasites in our bodies. Well, to them, we're the entire world. It's kind of crazy to think about, but they're everywhere. Their goal is super simple. Get inside a host, that's us, use our body's resources to make more of themselves, and in the process, they cause damage and make us sick. And to see just how they get around, let's look at a pretty famous and kind of scary example. Typhoid fever is caused by a bacteria. The story of Typhoid Mary, a cook who was a perfectly healthy carrier, is a perfect illustration. She didn't feel sick at all, but she was spreading the bacteria through the food she made, infecting dozens of people for years without ever knowing it. Some of these pathogens have strategies that are even more complex, almost like something out of a sci-fi movie. The parasite that causes malaria, for instance, actually needs two different hosts to complete its life cycle. It has to live part of its life inside a mosquito, then get injected into a human, where it multiplies, and then it has to get picked up by another mosquito to start the whole thing over. It's an absolutely brilliant survival strategy when you think about it. So with all these tiny invaders constantly trying to get in, how do we possibly protect ourselves? Well, our first and most powerful line of defense is a team effort. It's public health and prevention. We can build our defense plan by figuring out how these diseases travel. You can basically group them into three main routes, as you can see here. Are they spreading through our food and water? Are they just floating around in the air? Or are they getting a ride from another creature, what we call a vector? Let's use those vector-borne diseases like malaria as our example again. If you want to stop the disease, you have to break the life cycle of the vector, the mosquito. And that means doing really practical stuff like getting rid of any standing water where they lay their eggs, using mosquito nets, and even using nature against them, like putting fish in ponds that love to eat mosquito larvae. So public health is our shared shield, but each and every one of us also has an incredibly advanced personal bodyguard. It's our immune system, a vigilant little army working around the clock to keep those invaders out. And you can think of this internal army as having two main branches. You've got your first responders, the general security guards who are always on patrol, and then you've got the highly trained special forces who are called in when there's a specific, serious threat. This slide breaks it down perfectly. Our innate immunity is the stuff we're born with. It doesn't target anything specific. Think of your skin. It's just a physical wall trying to keep everything out. But then there's acquired immunity. This is the Special Forces team. It develops throughout your life as you encounter different germs, and it learns how to fight each one specifically.
And this is the most incredible part. The acquired immune system has a memory. It's amazing. Once it fights off a specific invader, it remembers it forever. So if that same pathogen ever tries to get into your body again, your immune system instantly recognizes it and just crushes it before it can even get started.
So, the big takeaway here is that our body is a learning machine, constantly adapting to the world around us. This immunological memory is the whole reason we stay healthy, and it's the science that makes vaccines work. Which leaves us with one last question to chew on. In a world that's always changing, what new threats will our immune systems need to learn to remember next?